there's one team in the NBA that has a surplus of quality point guards, in my opinion, would be the Indiana Pacers. After the Suns undervalued Tyrese Halliburton, the Kings got him. They undervalued him, but you know who didn't? The Indiana Pacers. They know point guard talent when they see it. They've got Andrew Nembhard, who is better than TJ McConnell, a point guard the Suns have been after for the last 3 decades, it seems. And so when I found out that they were moving off of a point guard and the Suns were getting him, I had to look into it. And I'm blown away, Sundo. Have I convinced you to come on over to my side?
First of all, you didn't even name the player.
He's so good, he doesn't need a name.
No, you have not convinced me to go to your side completely. I will add completely. Now, who is the player that we're talking about, Gabe?
Isaiah Wong, the 55th pick in the 2023 draft. Scored over 16 points a game for Miami. Did really good for them in the tournament. Cooked in that summer league and then cooked in the G League. He just hasn't been able to make his way up into real playing time. I think because he's on the Pacers and they have more point guards than they know what to do with.
Obviously they do, because we have been after a certain point guard on that roster over the last 2 years, it seems, in TJ McConnell. So obviously they know what they're doing over there when it comes to scouting and drafting and developing point guards. And so to your theory, it makes sense why Wong would be stuck in the G League as we watch tape and seeing the talent, and there does seem to be upside there with the way he plays. And so my question is, though, is how does he fit on this roster? Now, you had a little bit of a back and forth, not really a back and forth pregame, just a discussion really on, is he the type of guard that we need, the type of slashing, athletic, needs to have the ball in his hand guard, or do we need the facilitator point guard? Because I'm going to be honest, he is capable of facilitating. We've seen some of that in his highlights, but that's not his game per se. He is, and I hate to invoke this name, but he is a great value. Or if you're from the Midwest, he is a best choice. If you know what brand that is, when you're broke, get yourself a best choice soda. He is a best choice version of Derrick Rose. I hate to invoke that name, but that's just kind of what we saw as we saw the highlights, the slasher, sacrifice your body, drive to the rim, that sort of talent. And so, yeah, how does that fit on this roster?
It's going to start with him needing to cook in the summer league. We've talked about it before. We got a lot of players we're excited to watch now. I feel like Wong has moved to the front of my list. I'm also very excited to see David Roddy, but that's another topic. He's going to have to do good in the summer league, which I think he's capable of. Then we'll talk about bringing him on a 10-day, an actual 10-day, or going to have to earn a 2-way. We'll have to see how the roster shakes out, but I am certain I want a chance to develop him. I'll put it to you this way. We spent a couple of seasons developing Saben Lee, and this dude seems like 10 times the prospect. Then he's going to have to show out somewhat in the preseason and snag one of those 2-way contracts. If I'm not mistaken, the Suns have 2 2-ways, but they're allowed 3. Maybe we're looking at the third 2-way. Because as you pointed out to me after your sterling research, he hangs up the phone with the Pacers who have let him go, and basically beeping in was the Phoenix Suns. Hey, we heard they're letting you go. You want to come play in Phoenix? Please.
Yeah. I don't know if it was that dire, but yes. And I was gonna say that, and you took my point. But yes, apparently, as you mentioned, he wasn't going to be offered an extension from Indiana, and Phoenix was right there, which tells me maybe they just had their eye on this kid in scouting in the past, and they just thought, hey, let's give it a shot. We can't give you a 2-way right away. Come to the summer league, see how this works out. We can offer you a 2-way, get you on our G League team. That way we have the rights to you. We can call you up. And so I'm thinking worst case scenario, he's on the G League team. Best case scenario, he's our last 2-way. And I mean, I'm okay with that. And if he can play his way onto a roster spot, that's great. I don't expect it. And I know a lot of people in the comments will always say, you guys always stand for these little guys. You always stand for these 2-ways. You always stand for these guys that are just on the fringe of the roster. And I mean, it's always fun to find gems for this team. And I feel like that's how this team is going to have to operate for the next 2 years. You're going to have to find gems, and you're going to have to find those type of fringe players that are going to work for your roster, because we are stuck in this second apron for the next 2 years, 2 seasons at least. Who knows what's going to happen after that? And so, yes, you have to operate by finding these gems. If you can get a player like this and he develops into a positive in 5 to 10 minutes, I'll take it. If you can develop a Colin Gillespie for 5 to 10 minutes as a positive, I'll take it. Jalen Bridges the same. David Roddy, if you can turn him into a positive, I'll take it. Get what I'm saying? Yes, some of these guys are long shots, but that's the way this team is going to have to operate. You're going to have to get these veteran minimums, these 2 ways, these second-round draft picks, and try to develop and hope that they turn out.
Now, as far as his fit on this team, I love it outside of the fact that he's not a clear-cut three-point shooter right now for some reason. In college, bro was a sniper. We both saw it. Logo threes, Sundo, not just NBA range. For whatever reason, he's not hitting the three well in the G League. That could be circumstantial. The important thing is, while his jumper isn't Devin Booker beautiful, which no one's is, it's not bad. There's nothing super wrong with it. It's better than Mikal Bridges' jumper when he came in with that hitch. That's the only flaw I can think of in this kid's game. He seems aware defensively, capable defensively, which is not a common thread with the other fringe level players that we've been looking at for point guard. And his slashing looks considerably better than Saben Lee's slashing. And Saben Lee was nothing but a slasher. And he was less appropriately sized for the NBA. This dude's 6'3". We've long needed players that can put pressure on the rim to help for the fact that we're a team full of shooters, because that's all that James Jones wants. This kid isn't incapable of shooting well himself.
I can't argue any of the points that you made there. I do think he could develop a shot. There's always there. I don't think that his shot is awful, just like you said. We did see him shoot well in college. The G League is, like you mentioned again, not the same story. He can definitely develop that as well. I'll add one more positive that I like about him, and that is his size. He is not a Colin Gillespie 6'6" point guard or a Tyler Kolek that we wanted. He's not going to be that size. This guy is measured at, in some cases, some people say 6'3", some people say 6'4", just depending on what site you go to, Basketball Reference or the G League or wherever. Either way, he's in the taller range for point guard, so I like that for him, as well as the athleticism. And I could see why people like him as a prospect with that size, that athleticism, his slashing ability. It's an intriguing prospect for sure.